Okay, we're going to go ahead and begin. So once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be, and thank you very much for joining us today. We at DotNetNuke really appreciate you taking time out of your day and then spending it with us, and then today's case, learning about our new SharePoint connector and how that works with DotNetNuke and how you can get the best of both worlds. So before we continue with the presentation, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of housekeeping here. And so I want to make sure that everybody can hear me okay. And if everybody on the line can hear me, please use that raise your hand feature in the GoToWebinar control panel. Excellent. Looks like you can hear us okay. That's awesome. All right, and one more technical thing. I just want to get out of the way. If you can see my slide, and that's all you can see my slide, and you can see that little tree right in the center. Please, once again, use that raise your hand feature. Excellent. That looks great. Appreciate it. So the other thing, or the last thing to get out of the way is I'm sure you'll have questions throughout the webinar, and we absolutely appreciate those. We expect those, and please do ask them throughout the webinar. You won't be able to ask them verbally. Instead, you would need to use the questions panel in that control panel of GoToWebinar, just like you used to raise your hand, that same area. You can ask as many questions as you'd like there, and we're going to get to as many of them as we can at the end of the webinar. But if we, for some reason, cannot get to them all, we will definitely follow up with you personally via email and make sure your questions get answered. But make sure you do ask your questions. We want to make sure that every single one of them does indeed get answered. So we're going to move on with the presentation. Now, we should all be able to remember the internet as it was 10 years ago. Every website was very static. It was very read-only. There were very few things that most people could do with their website other than display some contact information and some value propositions, maybe some images, but it was generally very static. There was just text and images. And so back then, in the year 2000, very few people could really predict what the web would look like today, 10 years later. How could they be able to predict things like e-commerce, social, and mobile? E-commerce maybe, but how important social and mobile are to your website today, that was incredibly difficult to predict. So it was really difficult to determine that those would be those golden standards by which you would have to operate in order to reach that minimum expectation of your existing and your prospective customers. Your visitors today are demanding these type of features. Now, looking back, how do you know which areas to dedicate resources to in order to keep in line with the new expectations of the future? Those new things that your customers will expect, and to stay ahead of your competition. And this is where DotNetNuke really comes in. Your website is your most important business asset. There's no way around it. We make it our mission at DotNetNuke to provide the very best-of-class tools and features to keep your website updated now and in the future, no matter what that future holds. It's already flexible enough to help you grow and adapt, but we also want to help you grow and adapt to the changes that are not in today's internet, but also in tomorrow's. So we want to make sure that we have a platform that you can grow with and will grow with you, and that your business will always have those features that you're going to need tomorrow. To that end, every day or today, every organization is under extreme pressure to keep up with your competition. Some of those challenges you're facing are the growth of your needs, the speed of your changes, and the cost of keeping up with those changes. So that ever-changing complexity of the web and the explosion of content that you see today should not keep you from staying ahead of your competition. Today businesses struggle to keep up with those changing standards and expectations, and we are really here to help you stay ahead of that curve by providing a world-class platform and content management system. And by using the world's largest content management system, you can more quickly adapt to changes now and in the future. And just a couple words about DotNetNuke, and we'll move on. For those of you that are not familiar with DotNetNuke, we are the world's #1 web content management system on the Microsoft stack. There's by pretty much every measure. This software has been around for about 2 years now. We have over 1,700 commercial customers. We're probably approaching or just over 1,800 at this point. And last year, one of our more favorite awards that we've received is the Inc. 500. We are number 9 in all of Silicon Valley, and as you might know, Silicon Valley holds all kinds of notable companies like Google and Yahoo and Facebook and so on. And then number 23 overall in the software category. So we're extremely proud of that particular distinction. Some other highlights, .NetNuke's been around for quite a long time now. This software is 10 years old, so it's been through everything that you need it to go through. So it's secure, it's fast, and as such, it has a huge install base. It has 700,000 or over 700,000 known websites. We find out about more every day. And we are the only content management system with a commercial app marketplace. There's over 10,000 extensions in that marketplace. So very much like your phone, you buy your new smartphone today and you install things on it. You make your phone what it is that you want it to be. And you can do that very same thing with .NetNuke. Another great thing about .NetNuke is that you will never be alone. We have an immensely large community. It's over 1 million strong, so you will always have somebody to turn to, somebody to talk to, somebody to collaborate with, somebody to share, your content management experiences with. There's user groups and forums and all kinds of ways that you can engage with our community. So once again, .NetNuke is the hub of your most important business assets. So we make it our business to help your business succeed. Whether we're talking about being able to facilitate e-commerce, mobile, social, workflow, and so on, or even your own custom integrations. .NetNuke is at the center of that, giving you a platform to make all of these things and more possible. So our customers, they come in all verticals. You probably recognize quite a few of these logos, but the important thing to note here is that there is no single vertical here. This is pretty much every vertical you can think of. .NetNuke is a very flexible platform, and this is pretty much a testament to that. We have people from all over the board, from financial industry to healthcare to higher education to government, retail, travel, you name it. .NetNuke's in there. And to that end, .NetNuke isn't just for big companies. There's companies as small as 5 people rolling out software as a service type applications even. And then there's people as large as Time Warner Cable who have over 47,000 people in their company, and they use .NetNuke for their intranet. We find that business people love .NetNuke, and there's many reasons for that, but the biggest reason is that they are empowered. They are allowed to update their own content. They do not have to wait for that quote-unquote IT bottleneck. They don't have to wait for somebody to make their changes. They can go in there and make whatever changes they need to and go through whatever processes that are set up, but they can securely, easily, and very quickly maintain content on their own without having to wait for anybody to do it for them. Designers and developers, they equally love .NetNuke, and for very similar reasons. They don't, the typical designer or IT person, it's not their job to update a website. That's just really one extra thing, and so that one less thing that they have to do, they are very happy about that. But more importantly, the extensibility of .NetNuke, the ability to not only be able to integrate with the existing business systems or new ones coming forward, or authentication, all those things, it's very easy to do. And they don't always have to build it. That's the other thing that they love. With that online store, they can have that build versus buy scenario. Do I want to spend $100 on a plugin that will do everything I want it to do, or do I want to spend several hours writing it? It's really up to them, and they love that type of flexibility. And designers equally, they can make .NetNuke look like whatever they want, and so whether it's an existing skin that they or design that they tweak, or they create their own, it's very easy and quick to do. So we're talking about a very specific solution today, and so we're going to move on to that. So .NetNuke has long had that ability and the reputation for allowing you to adapt those fast-changing technologies and demands. If you've been in this industry for any length of time, or even been looking at websites for any length of time, everything changes very quickly. So with this reputation for allowing you to adapt, we've first seen this with the content management. With features like our granular permissions and content workflow, maintaining content is extremely easy. Anybody can do it. But with over 2 billion people in the world, it's very difficult to find a way for your content to reach those people. The next step for your content is to start allowing your visitors to use built-in collaboration tools to reach the set of people that are most meaningful to your business. So reach that subset of that 2 billion that you really need on your site. In our upcoming 6.2 release, we are adding significant social collaboration features to make that possible. And that release is right around the corner, so make sure you go back to our webinars page, and you're going to be able to learn more about that. So we're going to have a webinar about that very, very soon. The other thing that companies need is a way to manage documents. We already have a built-in feature to do that, and it's called Document Library. It works great. But there are specialists, there are specialists in all three of these areas that separately provide these solutions. But if you wanted to integrate them, it's very expensive and extremely difficult. And DotNetNuke does this for you. So together with content management, collaboration management, and document management, we allow you to create a web engagement platform in a way that is affordable and easy to deploy. You can't beat the value. And now with the SharePoint connector, this is our way of providing you with the best of breed document management right out of the box. And so that best document management, the best document management system and the best content management system, they're going to be working together to allow you to have that fast and easy way to manage your most important content and without disrupting existing business processes. So let's talk about some of the people that we are some of the stakeholders for this. So when you're talking about online document management, sharing, managing, collaborating, and controlling the quality of documents is by no means a trivial task. It's complicated, and the process of solving this problem has many stakeholders to consider. First there's the SharePoint web farm administrators. They install, maintain, and troubleshoot SharePoint, as well as create new sites or site collections. Next, we have the SharePoint site collection administrators. They manage permissions and roles, workflow, and users on their individual sites. So these first two groups of people are usually technical staff. Next, we have your standard SharePoint user. You have the task of updating, managing, and sharing documents internally. This group of people typically consists of your average business user. Members of many of the departments like finance, marketing, sales, human resources. So this group would also want to identify and use these documents on their public website, but they often don't have that kind of access on their site. They don't have the expertise even to do that. And then finally we have our standard website administrator, or your webmaster, if you will. They are the person or team that maintains the content on your website. So maybe it's your public site or your intranet or your extranet. So this leaves them as that bottleneck to implement and maintain those same documents that are on your public site or your extranet site or what have you. And this usually involves a lot of back and forth email, a lot of transactions to get documents posted to the right places in the right way and updated on time. And as you might imagine, this is a very time-consuming thing to do. Businesses are not interested in manual processes anymore. They should be automated whenever you can. So we're very proud to be able to solve these problems very easily and affordably with the SharePoint connector. This allows you to automatically publish documents of your choosing from your SharePoint site to your website securely. End users don't need the assistance of IT to publish these documents to your site. So this allows you to either have multiple documents go to a single site or single documents to multiple sites. It's really up to you and how you want to use it. You configure it to work the way you want it to. And at the end of the day, approved documents don't need to wait for anybody to make updated documents appear on your website. They don't sit in somebody's inbox or anything like that. Your site visitors will see the updated documents as soon as they're ready. And the latest information will be available to them without any unnecessary delays. So using the SharePoint connector in DotNetNuke, you can make this incredibly complicated task and affordable enough and easy enough for organizations of any size. And so you address all the needs that your stakeholders have with a minimum amount of effort. And we're going to talk about a couple of scenarios real quick. So we're going to jump into some of these use cases. Why do you want to use it? So one of your most typical scenarios is you have a public-facing website. you have a website on the internet that people are coming to. And so you also have a SharePoint site. You're collaborating in documents, you're doing your workflows and things like that. But without a proper solution in place, you might be duplicating your work and your effort. And in either case, you're wasting your time and your resources. So SharePoint generally doesn't allow your website to connect to it. It's usually behind a firewall, and when it isn't, direct internet access requires additional reoccurring license fees. And so you or your coworkers would be collaborating on documents in SharePoint, and then you would be expected to publish these documents to your internet website. This is a very tedious and boring task. First you'd have to save your documents locally, and then you upload them to your new site, and then finally you present your documents in one or more ways. This is long, boring, and it's very error-prone. But what if you could automate this process instead? What if as soon as your documents are ready, the most recent versions just appear on your site instantly and securely? This saves you the time and the hassle of doing this manually all by yourself. So the other common solution is internal sites. So you may be using SharePoint to collaborate once again, but only internally. This might be your intranet or your extranet, and everyone in your company would probably have to have access to SharePoint to see these. After all, how else would they see the documents? But unfortunately, once again, this can be very costly. Every person that accesses SharePoint, either they cost you money and or they cost your company in license fees, or in the time to train them to use SharePoint. But what if you could instead limit the number of people using SharePoint in the first place? You could save you and your team time and money by just allowing those who need to edit documents access SharePoint, and then have the rest of your company view these documents on your intranet or extranet. So what are the use cases? There are many use cases that could benefit immensely from the SharePoint connector. Partner channel is the first one we'll talk about. So in a partner channel, you would have a password-protected website where your partner network would be able to view, read, download, and submit information maybe relating to your services or products. This could even be a customer portal. But many of the documents of on this kind of website might be generated in SharePoint. And now you have a hassle-free way to publish those documents in a secure way to your partners or to your customers. And when they get on your partner channel, you can continue to protect them using the role-based security in .NetNuke. So governments of all types and sizes are one of the highest volume generators of digital assets. Whether we're talking about federal, local, state, or what have you, as such, it's a no-brainer for you to look for a way for your documents and files to be intelligently and securely transferred from SharePoint to your other websites with as little user interaction as possible. That's a lot of time that we can possibly save. Then there's healthcare. Healthcare has long been feeling the pressure to look for cheaper and faster ways to provide documents of all types to patients, suppliers, and doctors alike. This pressure is not going away. In fact, it's increasing every day. So with many healthcare organizations already standardized in SharePoint for document management, the SharePoint connector cuts your time to market dramatically. You could literally be serving your visitors documents securely in days and not months. And then finally, retail. Cost is a term that the retail industry is all too familiar with. Every single business process is under scrutiny these days to look for corners to cut and other things in an effort to save time and money. So automating the tasks required to get your customer-centric documents on your website is an easy win for all kinds of retailers. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into the demo now. And so give me a second as I switch to my demo website. All right. So right now, the demo website should be showing for everybody. So if you can see the web browser right now, I just switched to the web browser. Please, once again, use the raise your hand feature in the GoToWebinar software here, the control panel. Excellent. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. All right. So we're going to start here with our, well, you're still paying attention. Thank you. Got lots of hands still raising. All right. So we're going to start here with SharePoint, and we're going to start with one of our technical users. So we have our SharePoint administrator, and this is the interface that they usually work with. In this particular demo site, I do have a red message here, but that's because I haven't completely configured it, and so but everything's still going to work. I just have to tweak a few things like enable email and so on. what we're going to do is walk through the scenarios that people would have to go through. And so from the very highest level, the most technical person involved, all they have to do to manage the SharePoint connectors, first they install it, and then there's just a couple of configuration settings. And so we're going to go into this general application settings to manage it, and we're going to go to the DotNetNuke connector right here at the very top. And in here, there's going to be a few settings that we can manage. So we're going to be able to, there's basically history of every time that synchronization happens to get your files, your documents from your SharePoint site to your other site. It saves an item in history, and so you can decide how many items to save. By default, it's 10. We also can define, as this type of administrator, the number of files or folders that we want to limit. Sometimes we need to limit the amount of traffic that's going over, so we can limit these numbers right here. And then email notifications. If something happens, do we want to be notified? Probably. So then we can go ahead and enable that very quickly right here. And then we can also edit the synchronization schedule. So we, as the SharePoint administrator, we define how often these documents all get synced with our website. And so we have the ability to, first of all, we can shut it down, or we can have it once an hour, we can have it once a day, or we can have it once a week. It's really up to you. You're in full control of this. So we're going to go ahead and set this up, and just, or actually, we're going to go ahead and save this. And so we're going to go ahead and just choose the time, and I'm going to choose 40 after, and go ahead and click OK. We're going to probably change that a couple more times in the demo. But now we're going to move over to our SharePoint site. So this is a site that most people are probably familiar with. So we're on our site. You can see I have a lot of documents I'm collaborating on with people. And in this case, we're using our Awesome Cycles reference. We're the store Awesome Cycles, and what we do, we sell bicycles, and we do it better than everybody, right? So this is our demo site. And in order to manage this, in order to start to get connected with your DotNetNuke site, we simply go to our site actions up here, and we go to our site settings. And in here, we're going to have a DotNetNuke connector. And so, we have this nice little area right here. It makes it very easy to find DotNetNuke. So we click DotNetNuke connector, and in here we can start to manage the settings. This is where we would live on a daily basis as somebody who manages a single SharePoint site. You can see here it's telling us that we haven't added any connections yet, and we will in just a second. But this is our default view. This is where every time we add a type of synchronization, they would show up here. And so we're going to have all kinds of synchronization settings here. In order to manage our connections, we can either choose to manage connections here, or under settings, we have the ability to do that right here, because after we add one, this message will be gone. So we're going to do that in just a second. But we also, as every site administrator, can have the ability to be notified of either errors or when new synchronization items are created or edited. So we can all have that capability. And then once we have a connection, we're going to go ahead and add a couple synchronization items. So while we're here, we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and manage connections. And right here we have none, and so let's go ahead and add one. So this is where we first start to enter some security information. Once again, DotNetNuke, we're very concerned about security. It's one of our #1 things that we are concerned about, and so we have a very secure connection here. This is going to be a one-way publish, and so in order to connect SharePoint to our site, we're going to need to get some information from our .NET site. And so I'm going to go move to my .NET site, and here it is. And in here I'm going to go ahead and log in, and I'm going to log in as a super user or a host user, and all that means to you is that I'm about to log in with the most privileged user that DotNetNuke has available for you. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that login right now. So here we go. We're going to log in. Now, in order to manage the SharePoint connector settings, we go in the host menu, and you can find this setting right down here at the bottom, SharePoint connector. So we click through on it, and this is a view that you would become intimate with if you are the person that's managing your .NET Nuke website. So maybe your webmaster, for example. And you can see here there's all kinds of log information. So every time it syncs up, it saves some information. Every time it does pairings, and so you can very quickly and easily get some information on what's going on with the SharePoint connector specifically. But more importantly, this is where we can come to get our security credentials. So here we go. I'm going to take my website address. I'm simply going to paste it in here. I'm going to take my secure token here, and this is something that we can cycle through. So for some reason, some security thing comes up, or just for security standards, I want to change this every now and then, I can come in here, recycle, and change it. But I'm just going to go ahead and paste it in here. And then the final piece of information that SharePoint Connector requires is a super user account. So the very same account I just logged in with, I'm going to go ahead and use that to create this connection. And so right now, both websites are shaking hands, and in just a second you're going to see this new connection pop up for you. So there we go. So now we have a connection to a website. We can repeat that multiple times, by the way. We can have as many connections as we'd like. But now that we're done with that, I'm going to go ahead and just move back. So before we go ahead and add a synchronization item, we're going to go ahead and see what we might want to synchronize. So I'm going to go back to my demo website here, and we have all these documents once again, and we have quite a few types. And so I'm going to go ahead and dive into that so we can see our typical, document library view. And so here they all are, and we have quite a few categories here. You can see I've added a custom column, so you can, you probably have different or maybe similar views in how you look at this. But I've also created quite a few views. Most of us, we use views when we're managing documents in SharePoint. So if I want to look at the bike trails, so I'm trying to make sure it's easy for my customers to have areas to bicycle in the area around the store, I can and maybe create some maps and have those available to people. Alternatively, maybe I'm doing my press releases. So we have quite a few views that we can look at here. And along those lines, maybe we have them by an entire department, so all of the documents that an entire department is collaborating on, including product manuals and things like that. So we have quite a few views here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to set up that SharePoint connector setting in just a moment, but we're going to go ahead and just browse our public site real quick. So on our public site, we have this need to display some of these documents. We have awesome cycles here, but we don't have any maps here or anything yet. And if we look through other areas, let's go to our file manager as an example. So in the admin menu, this is where in DotNetNuke you would manage your files. And so when we click into here, we can create folders, we can add permissions to these folders, we can upload files to them. And I've already took the liberty of, before the demo, I've created a couple folders. One of them is for bike trails, and another one's just for general documents. And we can see there's no files in either of them, but when we add them, we have the ability in DotNetNuke to use role-based security to decide exactly who we want to see the document and then whether or not they can do anything with it other than read it. So ordinarily, in order to get documents over here, and by the way, there's a hidden section here. When we before we logged in, I didn't mention that, but this hidden documents area. So we have the document library module in DotNetNuke as well. So this hidden document area is meant to, once documents get here, we can do something with it, and I'll illustrate that in a little bit. But right now, there's no documents in here. We can further demonstrate that. There's nothing here for us. So we're going to go ahead and go back to our website, and let's go ahead and create a connection. Let's now start to make sure that we can get documents from our secured SharePoint site to our public site. So you can see I have a public site here, it has a domain name, and let's go back to our SharePoint site. Here we are. So this is clearly a local site. There's no top-level domain for this. You can see that right here. But let's go ahead and add some connections. And so we're going to go back to our site settings. So almost all the management is done right here in SharePoint. And we go back to my DotNetNuke connector, and let's go ahead and add a synchronization item. Now, synchronization items is nothing more than mapping one or more of your document folders or views to one or more sites and folders on those sites of DotNetNuke. And so we're on our demo site right now. I'm going to go ahead and expand that, and when you look through here, we have all those views that you just saw me go through when we went ahead and browsed our file system in SharePoint. And so we have the marketing documents, we have bike trails, and so on. I'm going to first create a view for bike trails, and so we're going to select that one, and create a connection with bike trails using that view. And now if I had made multiple connections, they would show up here. Right now I only have one. And if there was multiple sites on this installation, they would also show up here. So we can have that many-to-many or one-to-many type of relationship. But I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to map my bike trails view to my bike trails folder in DotNetNuke. So I'm coming from SharePoint to my DotNetNuke site. Now there's an option down here to propagate deletions. What that means to you is if I check this checkbox, when files are deleted from my SharePoint site, they will also be deleted on my public site or my other website, my DotNetNuke site. Now that is an option because not everybody managing SharePoint realizes that when I propagate a delete or when I delete a document, it also will be deleted on my website. They don't always realize that connection exists, and you know, as a result, you could possibly have 404 errors. So you would have links to documents on your website that a customer might click on, but the document doesn't exist anymore. So that's why this is an option. Just for the purposes of the demo, it doesn't really matter if I check it right now. So I'm just going to leave it unchecked. And now we have a synchronization. There we go. So we have a synchronization here. If I want to edit it, it's very easy. I can just go ahead and edit it. I can delete it if I want to. And you can see right now the status for it is pending and it's never synchronized. And if I wanted to click through on it, I can see more details about it, including all the previous synchronizations, which in this case, none have happened yet. So we don't have any information here. But I'm going to create one more synchronization item. And I'm not going to describe this a whole lot, but in this one I'm going to go ahead and map, oops, wrong one, go back to my demo site here. And I'm going to map my marketing documents. So I'm taking all my marketing documents and I'm going to take them to my Awesome Cycles website and I'm going to go put them in the documents folder. So I'm just taking them all in one fell swoop and I'm going to go click OK. So now we have this experience of we're going to map these two views to these two DotNetNuke folders on DotNetNuke. And when we get them to DotNetNuke, we can use our role-based security to do whatever we want with them. So at this point, let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and change the synchronization because it's happening at 40 after the hour. So I'm going to go ahead and change it. So during the demo, this will actually happen in just 2 minutes. And here we go. So in 2 minutes, the synchronization will happen for us. It's not on demand, so I can't go ahead and just execute it. But what we're going to do here is on our DotNetNuke site, we're going to go ahead and just prepare for this to be there. Ideally, we'd probably do this after, but I'm going to go ahead. I want my maps maybe to be on this home page because when people come to my website, I want them to just get the information they're looking for. I want them to find it useful. If they have to spend time digging for it, maybe they won't want to do it. So I'm going to do a couple things to set this up. So I've already installed a module called the links module. When you want to display a list of links, that is the most common module that you would use. And so I'm going to add this module to the page. And so I already have it installed. It's right here. And I'm going to call this one Bike Trails. And I'm just going to put it on the right side of the page. So it's very easy to add new modules to your site. There we go. So now we have a Bike Trails module. And if I want this to look at a folder, it's very easy to configure it to do that. So I simply go to the settings here. So here's settings. Every single module has settings. And while I'm here, since some of you may not be familiar with DotNetNuke, DotNetNuke has the ability for you to do many things for every single module, every single page. You know, up and down from top to bottom, DotNetNuke is highly configurable. And one of the things here is because I'm logged in as the most privileged user, I have the ability to see everything. All these links is not the typical user experience for your business users. They would see very little information in most cases. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the settings for this links module. And what we're going to do is we're going to have this links module point to our Bike Trails folder. There we go. And so every module can have its own permissions. But more importantly, I'm going to go to the link-specific settings. And so the module mode, I'm going to point it to a folder. And now I can choose the folder I want it to point to. And I'm going to point it at the Bike Trails folder, the one that was empty just a moment ago. And I don't want any info links. I just want a list of links and no other items on the page. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Update. And now those settings are saved. And there we go. And now we have the document. So in the time it took for me to describe that, the documents have synced up and they're already being listed. Now let's go ahead and look at that in the file system. So I'm going back to my admin menu. And we're going to our file manager. And we can see here in my Bike Trails folder, There we are. All those files are now in place. They just automatically synced up for me. If I look at my documents folder, we can see the very same thing. And so there we go. Now, so I just demonstrated one way that I might want to display some of these documents. That's one of the many ways this can be useful. But what if we have other things going on? Like we have news and promotions, right? So maybe we have a press release we want to link this content to. So let's go ahead and edit this content. I'm going to click Edit Content. And in here, I'm going to go ahead and just go to the end of it. And let's put in a Read More link. And I can go ahead and highlight that, and now I can go ahead and choose to link to images and all kinds of stuff, but I'm going to link in this case to a document that I have. And now that we saw that the sync happened and all the files are in place, now I can go ahead and just go to my documents view, and I have here's some product manuals, but now I also have the recall. So here's my recall one, and that's the one I just the news item I was just choosing. Maybe I want, when people link on it or click on it, I want it to open in a new window, and then just go ahead and insert it. So there's a Read More link. I can click Save. And there we go. We have a Read More link. And if I click on it, I'm going to have a download dialog. It's going to want me to download that file, wherever it went. There it goes. So there's the download for the file. So the other thing I wanted to show you here is, that's a couple different ways to manage or to use those documents once they're on here. But in our document library, we might want to manage them here as well. So when we go to our documents folder, now we have all these documents available for us here. And so before this particular demo, what I did was I created some categories. So very much like I have views, I have almost a similar category structure on this site. And so now I can work with these documents and have them available in this document library module, and you can customize all kinds of views on different pages with this module. But more importantly, I can now start to categorize these documents in my site. I can assign permissions to them, and so this one happens to be a press release, and I can give descriptions for it, and it has versioning now on this site as well. And so we have all these capabilities to do that. So now when I come to my categories, we had press releases. We can see that now I have the ability to work with it here. And so you have, once again, the best of both worlds. You are doing all your document management on your SharePoint site, and you're able to work with it in ways that are meaningful to your other website, which in this case is your .NetNuke website. So the other thing I want to show you here is for the administrators of your website, what's going on? How can I see what's going on? And so if we go back to the SharePoint connector feature in our host menu, there's quite a few events that have now happened. And so I'm going to increase the records per page here, but we can see quite a few things that happened today. So this is today's date, and you can see first thing this morning, the first thing you saw me do was I paired together, or I made the SharePoint site and the .NetNuke site connect to each other. And then when my synchronization happened, it went ahead and updated all these files, right? So it synchronized them, so I published them to our public site, or our .NetNuke site. Now, let me go ahead and open a file. So let's say Coyote Point. I'm going ahead and I'm looking at this, and let's go ahead and save it somewhere. So this is my downloads folder. That's not where I intended to save this. So here we go. I'm going to save it right here. So I clicked on it, I saved it, and now I can open it. It just opened in the other view, so here we go. So we can see here, here's a bunch of information. So maybe I'm a customer. I'm looking at this, and I see this little message here. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's no construction there anymore. That's wrong. So maybe I contact Awesome Cycles and say, hey, guys, you need to update that document. So at some point, somebody in Awesome Cycles got an email. They said, hey, this is not correct. You need to go and fix that. And so go ahead and update that document. And so we're going to go ahead and do that now. So we come back to our regular site. So here's our demo site, and me as the person who manages these documents, I get told about this. So I'm going to go ahead and update and edit this document. So right now it's opening, so give it a second. It has to download from SharePoint. Here we go. And so here's the document, and I can go ahead and now I can choose to delete that information. So I'm going to just delete it, very simple, and I'm going to go ahead and save it. So I click the save icon up top, and now I can close it, and at this point it's updating this on our SharePoint site. And there we go. And so we can see the modify date has changed, so it's not the same date as the rest of them. It's the current time. And so in order for us to see this on our .NetNuke website, I'm going to need to update the synchronization schedule once more. And so we have a couple minutes here. I'm going to change this to 45 after. Oops. Click update. Or OK, rather. And so now that update's going to happen again. But in the meantime, let's see what's happening on this side. So we saw the logs, we saw the ability for us to manage settings and everything. We saw the events on our .NetNuke site. But what do the people managing SharePoint see? Remember, the people managing SharePoint are not necessarily the same people managing your other website. So let's go ahead into the .NetNuke connector. And now we have these different, we still have these different synchronization items that are happening here. And let's go ahead and click on one. So let's click on byte trails. Now we can see, all the information that we saw before, but plus, what status did all these have? Were they transferred? When? How were they modified? And so all the information that a SharePoint administrator would want as well are all here. And from here we can still edit the synchronization item. We can choose to pause this. So for some reason, this particular synchronization item should not be synchronizing with our other website for any reason. We can go ahead and pause this. So this is like an enable or disable feature. We can filter this as well. So if we wanted to just see the errors, we can go ahead and just look at those. In fact, most of the times the reason we come to look at this is to look for errors, right? And then, if we have a list of synchronizations, they will all be here. Remember, there was a setting for the SharePoint administrator to save 10 synchronization items. Just as a reminder, that's over here. 10 synchronization items. And so that controls how many items of history are in this drop-down list. I'm going to go back to the .NetNuke connector, and we can see that we're going to be able to have the same experience with all the different connectors, or excuse me, the different synchronization items that we have on our website. And so we can pause all of these as we decide to. So there's 2 minutes left before the synchronization happens, so I'm going to jump back to the slideshow just for a brief moment. There we go. So we're going to see that synchronization happen in a moment, but I have to wait for the time to kick in. So the SharePoint connector. You just saw how the SharePoint connector works with .NetNuke, currently 6.1 in SharePoint 2010. We also have support for 2007, and it was literally painless to manage those documents for our website in SharePoint and make sure it was transferred automatically in a secure way without the need for anyone technical to get involved. All they do is set it up once, and from that point forward, you just manage your documents. You do what you're supposed to do. You make updates, and they just automatically go to where they're supposed to be going. So the supported versions of SharePoint, once again, it's 2007 and 2010. On the 2007 stack, it's MOS and WSS 3.0. And in SharePoint 2010, it's Foundation, Standard, and Enterprise. Now, some of the things that we were not able to do today, just because we're focusing on the SharePoint connector for obvious reasons, is there's a lot of features that are available in our commercial editions. We briefly got a glimpse at granular permissions and document library, but there's things like cloud folder providers that this solution will work with. There's mobile redirection and viewing and features to display content in a very robust way to mobile site visitors, separate and apart from your desktop visitors, and so on. And there's also an Enterprise Edition content staging. But now our time has come up, so I'm going to move back to our website over here. And let's go ahead and go back to our host menu, and instead of going straight to the file system, let's go ahead and look at the log. And so we can see that just a moment ago at a different time, all the rest of the synchronizations happen at 9:35. Only the items of interest are written to the log. So, another synchronization happened, and this time only one document was different. And so that's the only one that was synchronized. And so it does not take extra cycles that are unnecessary out of your processes on your servers. It just does exactly what it needs to and nothing more. Only the document that we changed in SharePoint was published. And we can further see that our customer, Mr. Customer, he comes back to our site, and he opens this document again, and let's go ahead and save it. And so now I'm opening it. So here it is, and you can see that that update has been propagated to our site, even though it was managed in SharePoint. Nobody had to do anything on our public site or our .NetNuke site. And so that's the complete demo. And now I'm going to go ahead and move right back to the slideshow, and we're going to finish out today's presentation. And so hopefully what I've been able to demonstrate to you was, and in just showing this one feature, is that .NetNuke is easy to use, it's fast to implement, and it offers very high quality tools at a low cost, which delivers a very high return for your investment. You're not going to find a higher value anywhere. So when you put all of these alongside the numerous benefits of .NetNuke, that's where you start to see all this value. So there's different flavors of .NetNuke. What we were looking at today was Enterprise Edition, because that is the only edition that has the SharePoint connector. But we also have Community Edition. It's free and open source. It's deployed in hundreds of thousands of production websites worldwide, so it's very well vetted. But your only source for support is through the .NetNuke forums, and so through the community. Professional Edition is our first commercial offering, and so that's a paid and commercially supported solutions, and so that includes features that are very specific to large and business critical websites. So that includes things like granular permissions, workflow, mobile, and so on, document library, commerce. And you get unlimited technical support through .NetNuke Corporation using Professional Edition. The Enterprise Edition is Professional Edition plus content staging and what you saw today, the SharePoint connector for either 2007 or 2010. All right, so .NetNuke also offers you some services. First, there's Elite support. So above and beyond the unlimited online technical support that you get just by being a customer of Professional or Enterprise Edition, there is an Elite support offering as well. And so this is, allows you to have telephone communication, so you can pick up the phone and call somebody. It's unlimited technical support, just like our online support. And so I don't know about you, but if my site goes down, I'd rather talk to somebody on the phone versus submit a ticket and wait. But you have a quicker guaranteed response time. The standard support is 8 business hours, and our Elite support gives you a guaranteed 2-hour SLA, 2 business hour SLA. But this also gives you one-time installation and upgrade support, as well as source code for all the modules that are included in the Professional or Enterprise Edition, depending on which one you're a customer of. Then there's developer support services. So there's going to always be types of support and requests that you have that don't really fall under support. How do I configure this? How do I do SEO? How do I build this skin? Or I'm building this whole series of modules or migrating a site, and I want to know the best way to do this. Other people have done this, so give me the best practices. Anything that doesn't that doesn't fall under standard support can be used under developer support services. And so you're going to have direct one-on-one access to some of our more senior engineers. And that could be anybody in an organization that has that expertise that's helped customers just like you with the questions that you're asking. And that's available in 10-hour time blocks. Then, of course, we have training. You saw that .NetNuke is easy to use, but like anything else, training will just make you more productive. And so there's 3 different flavors of training. We have our online webinars. They happen about monthly, and there also is a library of about something like 90 hours of recorded materials for you to use. And so that's on demand. You can view that at home, view it at work, at your leisure. And so you and your team can get up to speed quickly. Then there's on-site training. That could be some canned training, or it can be custom. And so there's custom training that's also offered either on-site or online. And all of this training is offered by Chris Hammond. He's a very well-known author, and he's the director of our training program. And he's probably the original trainer in the .NetNuke ecosystem. So he's been doing this for about 10 years now. This is just kind of a grid to show you the differences between the different editions. I think we kind of already went over that. And so we're going to go ahead and get to questions now. But before we do, please feel free to look us up on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. We'd love to engage with you. Our community is there as well. Of course, you can find our community on our website. There are more webinars coming, and as we said, 6.2 with all these social collaboration features will be a focus of one of our future webinars, and we have at least 1 webinar a week, and so I invite you to go back there. We always have some great content. If you want to use a free online demo without the hassle of installing .NET Nuke, you can do that. So there's a link there for you. And then we have the Day of .NET Nuke Charlotte coming up, so I want to make sure that we mention that as well. Day of .NET Nuke Charlotte is happening on June 2nd, and so this is learning about .NET Nuke 6.2 on 6.2. So you can't forget that. So Charlotte, North Carolina, it's an excellent venue, can't beat it, and there it's a one-day conference that you'll be able to go to. It's free attendance, so you just pay for your travel, and you go there, and speakers from all over the world, and attendees, and partners and community members from all over the world you will find there. So that's a very popular event, and it's traveling all over the globe, and this year it's in Charlotte. And so I'll be there among many other people, and so I look forward to seeing you there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get to some of these questions. I'm going to open this up, so pardon me while I parse this a little bit. Okay, so having SharePoint internal, what is the permission or governance model of having an internet-based .NET Nuke looking into internal SharePoint? One of the things that I may not have completely described for you is the method by which it does this. It was in our diagrams, but when we're looking at the connection that just happened, this is a one-way interaction currently. So all this interaction went a single direction, and so when you're publishing documents, they're not coming from .NET Nuke at all. If I were to update a document in .NET Nuke, it would not update SharePoint. So this is a one-way synchronization. So there's a couple things that are to note there. First, that makes it very, very secure. So an internet, a person on the internet is not updating things in your SharePoint site. Second, that alleviates the requirement for you to have that internet connector license that SharePoint has. So hopefully that answers your question. So can it sync SharePoint objects on your .NET Nuke site? So there are a couple examples here: web parts, content types, and I'm assuming lists. List support is something that's definitely on the roadmap. We're going to have that in the future. As far as the rest of those, we haven't had a whole lot of demand for that yet. We've been doing a lot of customer surveys with prospective customers as well as existing customers, and so far the big thing that everybody wants is list support. But if you would like that other type of support, I know there are some third-party modules out there that specifically do web parts. I can't speak to the quality. I don't know how well they do it. I've never used them. But you do have a path forward on that. All right, so I have some repeat questions here. And we're about 5 minutes left here, so make sure you get your questions in here right now. All right. This is a long technical question. So there's a person here who's asking about Access Database and SharePoint. I'm gonna answer you offline. I'm gonna email you directly. So no worries there. That's just kind of a more complicated question that's probably gonna require some interaction in order to actually answer it. Okay, so there's a question here about which versions or which editions of SharePoint once again. So in SharePoint 2007, that was MOS and WSS 3.0. And in 2010, that was, oh shoot, what was it, Enterprise Standard and what was the other one? Foundation. So there's a question here about the SharePoint scheduler engine. So does .NET Nuke connector utilize a SharePoint scheduler engine? And if not, is it somehow possible to manually fire a configured schedule right away? I don't know the answer to you. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I answer that for you. I don't know if it's using the underlying scheduler engine or not. Judging by all the demos and things that I've been through so far, I would be able to tell you with at least 80% confidence that it is indeed using the scheduler engine, but we can dig into that further offline as well. Oh, here's another SharePoint one. So is the metadata for your documents synchronized as well? Currently, it's only the documents themselves. If that's something important to you, we love to hear from our customers, and all these features are always a result of our customers asking for things. as a customer, you'd be able to help us in our product management team, develop this roadmap. And so if that's a feature that's important to you, we can definitely look into that in the future. And that, by the way, that goes across anything. All customers, we love to hear from you, and enhancements is the thing that we absolutely cherish. So make sure you let us know. Let's see here. I got a couple more deeply technical questions that I'll answer offline. So I'm going to go ahead and start to end the webinar here. But I do want to thank you for your time. We all have all of our time is very, very valuable, and for you to spend an entire hour with us at DotNetNuke, we absolutely thank you for that, and we hope that it was of value to you. And enjoy the rest of your day, evening, or afternoon, wherever you happen to be. And if it's evening, go ahead and relax, have fun. All right, so this webinar has been recorded, so as long as we don't run into any technical glitches, you will have a follow-up email with a link for it, and so you'll be able to view the recording again or forward it on to people on your team or friends or what have you. So once again, thank you. We appreciate your time, and we hope it was of value, and enjoy the rest of your day.